And polished for a guy who's just turning 19 today, in fact. And Anthony Bennett off the dribble with the long deuce.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our NBA breakdowns. Today, we're diving into a tough but real conversation. 4 young NBA players it's officially time to give up on. These are guys who entered the league with massive hype, lottery picks, highlight reel plays, and all the potential in the world. But for various reasons, they've fallen short of expectations. We're not saying they can't have careers in the NBA, but the superstar or even star-level potential we once envisioned, it's fading fast. Let's break it down player by player and explore why their journeys haven't panned out as hoped. First up, we have Anthony Bennett, the infamous #1 overall pick in the 2013 NBA draft by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I know Bennett isn't exactly young anymore at 32, but his story is a classic example of a hyped-up prospect who never found his footing, and it's worth revisiting as a cautionary tale. Coming out of UNLV, Bennett was seen as a versatile, athletic forward with a smooth shooting stroke and the potential to be a stretch 4 in a league that was just starting to embrace that archetype. The Cavs thought they were drafting a cornerstone to pair with Kyrie Irving in their post-LeBron rebuild. Spoiler alert, it was a disaster. Bennett's rookie season was nothing short of a nightmare. He averaged a measly 4.2 points and 3 rebounds per game, shooting a brutal 35.6% from the field and an even worse 24.5% from 3. His athleticism, which was supposed to be his calling card, didn't translate to NBA-level defense, and he often looked lost on both ends of the court. By his second season, he was shipped to Minnesota as part of the Kevin Love trade, and his numbers barely improved. 4.1 points and 3.8 rebounds on slightly better, but still poor shooting splits. After brief stints with Toronto and Brooklyn, Bennett was out of the NBA by 2017, just 4 years after being the top pick. What went wrong? For one, Bennett seemed unprepared for the NBA's speed and physicality. His work ethic and conditioning were questioned early on, and he never developed the basketball IQ needed to carve out a role. He's had chances to reinvent himself in the G League and overseas, including stints in Turkey and Israel, but he's never shown the consistency or growth to warrant another NBA contract. At this point, his name is synonymous with bust rather than potential. The dream of him becoming a star or even a reliable role player is long gone. It's a harsh reality, but Bennett's story reminds us that being the #1 pick doesn't guarantee success.
Grizzlies will play in the 7-8 play-in game. That will be Tuesday. Lob for Bagley off the setup by Vince Williams Jr.
Next, let's talk about Marvin Bagley III, the 2nd overall pick in the 2018 draft by the Sacramento Kings. This one hurts because Bagley had all the tools to be a modern big man. At Duke, he was a double-double machine, averaging 21 points and 11.1 rebounds while showcasing explosive athleticism, a soft touch around the rim, and a developing jumper. The Kings took him over Luka Doncic and Trae Young, a decision that still haunts their fan base. But let's focus on Bagley and why his career hasn't taken off. Bagley's biggest obstacles have been injuries and inconsistency. In his first 4 seasons, he played just 154 games out of a possible 328 due to a laundry list of injuries, knee issues, ankle sprains, back problems, you name it. When healthy, he showed flashes of brilliance. As a rookie, he averaged 14.9 points and 7.6 rebounds, with highlight reel dunks that reminded everyone why he was a top pick. But his game never evolved beyond those flashes. His defense is a glaring weakness. He's often exposed in pick-and-roll coverages and lacks the instincts to be a rim protector. His outside shooting, which was supposed to be a strength, has been wildly inconsistent. Career 31.3% from 3 on low volume, which isn't cutting it for a modern big. After being traded to Detroit in 2022, there was hope he'd turn things around in a new environment. He had a decent 2022-23 season, averaging 12 points and 6.4 rebounds. But nothing about his game screams franchise player. Now with the Washington Wizards, he's struggling to find a consistent role on a rebuilding team. At 26, Bagley still has time to carve out a niche as a rotation player, but the all-star ceiling we once projected? It's not happening. The modern NBA demands versatility from bigs, shooting, switching, and rim protection, and Bagley hasn't shown he can deliver consistently on any of those fronts. It's tough to admit, but the window for him to become a star is closing fast. Our third player is Jahlil Okafor, the 3rd overall pick in the 2015 draft by the Philadelphia 76ers.
He's spry thus far. Right-handed jump hook. Okafor pulling.
Okafor was a throwback big man coming out of Duke, a low-post scoring machine with polished footwork, soft hands, and a knack for finishing through contact. In an era where the NBA was shifting toward pace and space offenses, some believed his old-school game could still thrive. His rookie season wasn't awful. 17.5 points and 7 rebounds per game on a solid 50.8% from the field. But even then, the cracks were obvious. Okafor's biggest issue was defense, or rather, the lack of it. He was slow-footed, struggled to protect the rim, and couldn't switch onto guards in pick and rolls, which is a death sentence in today's NBA. Offensively, his lack of shooting range meant he clogged the paint, which didn't mesh with Philly's long-term plans for Joel Embiid. By his second season, he was relegated to the bench, and by year 3, he was traded to Brooklyn. Since then, Okafor has bounced around to New Orleans, Detroit, and various G League teams, with brief stints overseas in China and Mexico. His last NBA action was in 2020-21, and at 29, he's still trying to claw his way back. Why give up on Okafor? The NBA has evolved past traditional non-shooting bigs who can't defend. His offensive skills are undeniable, but they're one-dimensional, and he hasn't adapted to the modern game. He's had multiple chances to prove he can be a rotation player, but the results just aren't there. Teams prioritize versatility, and Okafor's skill set feels like a relic from a bygone era. It's a tough pill to swallow, but his NBA career is likely over unless he can reinvent himself dramatically.
Sharp, defended by Hartenstein. Hayes, lob it up. Sharp, throw it down. What a way to open up.
Finally, we have Killian Hayes, the 7th overall pick in the 2020 draft by the Detroit Pistons. Hayes was billed as a high IQ point guard from France with elite playmaking and defensive potential. At 6 feet 5 inches, he had the size to be a versatile two-way guard, and his highlight tapes from Europe showed flashy passes, crafty finishes, and a knack for running an offense. But 4 years into his NBA career, it's clear the hype was overstated. Hayes' biggest problem is his shooting, or lack thereof. His career field goal percentage is a dismal 38.2%, and his three-point shooting is even worse at 27.7%. For a point guard in today's NBA, that's a deal breaker. Defenses sag off him, clogging the paint and neutering his playmaking ability. His assist numbers, 4.2 per game career average, are decent but not elite, and his turnovers, 2.1 per game, are too high for someone who's supposed to be a floor general. He also struggles with decision-making under pressure, often hesitating or forcing bad passes. On the defensive end, Hayes has been better, using his length to disrupt passing lanes and averaging 1.2 steals per game in his best season. But it's not enough to offset his offensive woes. After 4 seasons with Detroit, where he never secured a consistent starting role, he was waived in 2024. He signed with the Nets for a fresh start, but so far, he's struggled to earn meaningful minutes. At 24, Hayes has youth on his side, but the idea of him becoming a star or even a reliable starter is fading. He might carve out a role as a backup point guard, but the ceiling we once saw is looking more like a mirage. So why these 4? Each represents a different reason why young players fail to meet expectations. Anthony Bennett lacked the readiness and polish to handle the NBA's demands. Marvin Bagley III has been derailed by injuries and an inability to adapt his game to the modern big man archetype. Jahlil Okafor's skill set is outdated in a league that prioritizes versatility. And Killian Hayes reminds us that shooting is non-negotiable for guards in today's game. It's not just about talent. The NBA is a brutal league where fit, work ethic, and adaptability are just as important as raw ability. These players had the draft pedigree, the hype, and multiple opportunities, but they couldn't put it all together. Injuries, poor fit, and failure to evolve have all played a role. And while it's tempting to hold out hope, especially for younger guys like Bagley and Hayes, the clock is ticking. The longer they go without showing significant improvement, the harder it is to believe they'll reach their projected ceilings. This list isn't about tearing these players down. It's about facing the reality of the NBA. Being a lottery pick comes with enormous expectations, but not every prospect becomes a star. For every LeBron James or Zion Williamson, there's an Anthony Bennett or a Jahlil Okafor who doesn't make it, and that's okay. It's part of the game. The NBA is a business, and teams move on quickly when players don't deliver. These guys might still find roles as rotation players, thrive overseas, or even have a late career resurgence, but the superstar dreams we had for them? It's time to let those go. Let's talk about the bigger lesson here. The NBA draft is a gamble. Teams bet on potential, but potential doesn't always translate to production. Scouts and GMs look for athleticism, skill, and upside, but intangibles like work ethic, basketball IQ, and mental toughness often determine who succeeds. Fans, too, get caught up in the hype, myself included. We see a highlight dunk or a flashy pass and start dreaming of the next Kevin Durant or Chris Paul. But the reality is, only a handful of players reach that level. For fans, it's a reminder to temper expectations. For teams, it's about better scouting and development. And for players, it's a wake-up call. The NBA doesn't wait. You either adapt or get left behind. Look at someone like Andrew Wiggins, who went from being labeled a bust to a key piece on a championship team because he adapted his game. These 4 players haven't shown that same ability to evolve, and that's why we're at the point of giving up on their star potential. So, what's next for these players? Bennett is likely done with the NBA, but could continue his career overseas. Bagley might find a home as a high-energy bench big, but he needs to stay healthy and improve his defense. Okafor could lean into his post-scoring and try to become a situational big, but he'd need to develop a jumper or better defensive instincts. Hayes has the best shot at sticking around due to his age, but he needs to overhaul his shooting and decision-making to become a reliable backup. What do you think? Are there other young players you're ready to give up on? Or do you believe any of these guys can still turn it around? Maybe you think we're being too harsh on Bagley or Hayes, or maybe you've got another name in mind, like a former lottery pick who's still struggling to find their place. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and check out our other NBA breakdowns linked on the screen. We've got more hot takes, deep dives, and player analyses coming your way, so stay tuned. Until next time, peace out.